absolutely right. Super delayed. Super delayed. Okay.
Sorry.
But thank you for checking. Where was I? So we're
Awesome.
helping to give these businesses visibility in the marketplace, and we do that in a variety of ways. One of the ways is my partnership with Quidera Tiart. She is the founder, the creator, and the publisher of Feel Well magazine, which is and she also has the Feel Well podcast, which is a way to help expand that exposure for people that are in this industry. And we have a number of initiatives coming up the rest of this year that are very exciting. Next month, we are collaborating with Kendra Scott. If you're local to South Florida, in Pembroke Pines, we're having an event with Kendra Scott for Women's Equality Day. And that a day is just going to be a celebration of amazing powerhouse women that are doing awesome things in their space. And so we're partnering with Kendra Scott. They're going to be rolling out like the red carpet, champagne, light bites, and we're going to have a panel of some really dynamic women. So that is happening next month, and that is open to the public, but we can only take so many that will fit in that space, and their space is absolutely beautiful. Then we are also having a social at the Tower Club later on in the month. And then in October, we're having the first ever South Florida Wellness Week, which is a week of curated events that are really helping to showcase and spotlight health and wellness businesses from all over. So this week we'll have a number of different events throughout a 7 day period, um, culminating in a summit and a gala on the Saturday, which will just blow your socks off. So between the brunches, between the media panels, between the panels and the TED Talks that we're going to be doing, it is going to be an amazing week of wellness that we're just going to cover the whole Tri County area with, from Palm Beach, Broward to Miami. So that is that. I'll quickly have Q introduce herself, and then we are so excited, super excited for
But
our.
how am I introduce myself? You already introduced me.
Well,
I'm
I
gonna
don't
just
know. Do you have
I'm
anything
gonna
you
add
want
one more thing. I'm gonna add that I'm also a student of the teacher today. That's all I'm gonna add. Michelle said everything for me, but I'm also now a published author
to add?
because of the woman we're about to learn from. That's it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So we recently had the book launch for Q the end of May, and it's all because of Sandra, who we're just honored to have on here sharing her expertise. All because of Sandra that Q took the leap and wrote her first book, and this book is amazing, really strong in women empowerment and just how we can move forward with the ideas and the things that we have in our minds. So Sandra pulled that out of her because she saw how dynamic she was and said, "Lady, you need a book," and she helped her make it happen. So, and it's like I watched the baby come to life because they went through that entire process, and it was just amazing to be there at the end and to read this amazing book. So, these are the things that Sandra does for people all over, and we're so grateful to know her. So, thank you, Sandra, for being our expert tonight and sharing your knowledge with us. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hello, hello, and welcome. Thank you so much. Such a beautiful introduction. I wanted to again show Q's book, Manifest Her. Such a powerful, beautiful, beautiful book. And it was such an honor to support you on your journey, Q. Honestly, it's one of my proudest moments because I I haven't really approached many people and said, hey, you need to write a book. And I really felt that draw to you, to your, where you are in your journey and the person that you are and the vibrance and vibration that you carry. And to actually have that invitation actually accepted was felt really, really powerful. So thank you for accepting the invitation. Thank you for sharing your story and amplifying your message. It is so powerful and exciting. And like I said, an honor to me. So yeah, thank you, thank you,
Thank
thank
you,
you. Mhm.
Sandra. You're welcome, but thank you. And I also just want to add, we're going to be doing a book reading at the Kendra Scott event as well.
Woohoo! Amazing, amazing, amazing. So I'm going to start from the beginning because everything starts with a story, right? Every part of our lives, every moment that we start something new, when we meet someone, people want to hear your story. And so that is to me one of the most important parts of relationships, friendships, business, community is to truly understand who you are and where in your life you've had these experiences and these, gone through the hurdles and the challenges, because that's where you really understand the person's essence. So, my essence, I was born and raised in New York. My family is from Cuba. And in those days, especially in New York, we were the only Cubans. So we were quite insular and we had a very small community, and my parents were very, very strict, and we weren't allowed to really do much. And so we grew up inside our home. My father was a superintendent of the building, so our playground was the park across the street or the basement where we played with boxes and the meters and our cousins and family. And through that experience, I remember clearly how storytelling really affected my life. Hearing the letters being read from Cuba, the intercepted letters that came from Cuba, where our families were, left behind, and sharing what they had been going through. This was in the 50s and early 60s. And it- hearing the message and having to read between the lines because they couldn't really share everything in these letters, and taking note. Wow, I felt so much, I heard so much with such few words, and it made such an impact in my life. And then growing up, again, private school, my father dedicated his life to making sure that we had a good education, over food, really, and making sure that we really had that opportunity to have a proper education. And I went off to university, and that's when I was discovered. I became a model, and it wasn't something I was looking for. It was something that was kind of like a whirlwind, one of the whirlwind experiences in my life when, someone invited me to be photographed. It was part of a project for school. And I actually reconnected with Phil a few years ago. This is the person in university who said to me, I need some pictures. I need it for a project. We were in a media school, and we took these pictures, and then he gave them to me and said, please be a model. And one thing led to another without me looking for it. And a few months, I'd say weeks to months, I found myself in Paris, modeling and on the cover of a lot of magazines, something that again blew my mind. I remember thinking, these people are crazy. What are they seeing that I don't see? I'm 5'7", they put. I'm really 5'6.5". What is it what's going on here? But that's the power of knowing that your journey and your experiences and your purpose and everything that you're meant to live is, I feel, pre-written. It's about you making the decision to say yes or no, but these things are put on your path for a reason. Um, and with that whirlwind experience, I ended up in Miami, South Beach in 91 when they, not 91, 80, yeah, 90, 91, where they're cleaning up the streets of Miami Beach, and it became the hub of the modeling industry. And that's when I was set up with my hero, the love of my life. And he was from Jamaica, and that's we met. And 8 months later, I was walking down the aisle, marrying him with 600 people, and thinking again, what in the world is happening in my life right now? I was blown away. I was grateful because I was chosen. I was like, wow, what an honor. This family loves me. They want me to be part of their family. But there was so much more to that. There was, his mom was ill, and they wanted him to marry before she passed away. And I really was kind of like the excuse for this celebration of life, for lack of better word. And 10 days later she passed. And we did our best to maintain our marriage, but we didn't have enough time to really make it happen. We didn't have the tools. I was 25 years old, and we didn't have the tools to honor that, um those vows. And we divorced, and there I was living in Jamaica with my two beautiful children, living the life, and really adapting and adopting the culture, and making the most of it and making it my own. And as my children grew up, and I, found another relationship, and we were together for 10 years, and, you know, little did I know the man was unfaithful for most of our relationship. And I, of course, the fool, did not know. You see the signs, and, you feel it in your gut, but no, not me. And that was a true, horrible, painful experience, but it was another part of the catalyst for me to keep digging into what was happening in my life. I had another relationship with a narcissist that kept me, afraid and feeling like, I needed him or I could not survive. And those two relationships really stripped me, of who I am. And it really helped me understand that I had a choice. And what I chose was thinking I was loved, and thinking that I was in a relationship, and making a choice that was not serving me. I had a beautiful family. My children were wonderful. They had a great education. I had a jewelry business, and I loved it. It was 20 odd years of selling jewelry to people, and not realizing that I was also part of their beautiful journey. People were buying beautiful items that were meant for celebration. They were chosen specifically for gifts, and even then, I realized that although it was a jewelry business, I was really serving a purpose, and I was helping people celebrate, marking moments. Um, and after my last breakup is when I realized, when it brought me to my knees, when I realized that something was going on. I was making choices. I was making decisions that were not um, working for me. And I want to say serving me, but it was worse than that. It was less than that, because it was taking away from me. And I kept thinking, how can I be doing this? How can I be in this cycle? And that's when I realized that I needed to shed all of what I had been learning and experiencing and taking in my life. And I decided that I was going to get up and go and live somewhere else. And this is 25 years after living in a country that was not mine, but I had made it mine. And I moved to LA, made the decision, found a coach, and followed that yearning, the yearning to write a book. When I first landed in Jamaica, people said, "So what are you going to do now that you're here?" And at first I said, the first thing that came out of my mouth was, "I'm going to write a book." But limiting beliefs, I have no ending. What's the conclusion? What's the point? Who cares? Right? Where do I start? All of that poured over me, and I never did it until I turned 50, until I decided that Sandra had to come back to her. I had to find her again. And going to Los Angeles and going far away, going somewhere where I didn't know anybody, was instinctual. I said, I need to shed. I need to go back to me. I need to go to the Sandra that I am and unbecome. When you're with someone, or when you're in a place for a long time, you pick up, the habits or the language or the lingo or even the way people move. And I knew that I needed to shed that before I even decided to embark on the journey of writing my book. And that memory of hearing the letters in my dining room kept ringing in my ears, and remembering the stifling of our voices as we are from birth. We're born, and, we're hushed as babies. As soon as we, no, a soother or a rock, and you have to be quiet. And when you're children and you're making too much noise, shh, everybody quiet. And when you're in school and you raise your hand and they don't get to you, sorry, you don't get to express yourself. Next. And we're silenced a lot of the time, and especially women. You know, we get married and the husband is the one in the front, the one that makes the choices and makes the decisions and calls it, right? And that was something that I really sat with and realized that there were so many things I wanted to say my whole life and so much that I wanted to share. And so through the writing of my book, Cuts of a Diamond, where I share my spiritual journey through love and heartache, um, and really poured my heart out and wrote it with a very specific intention. I wrote this book to help others. I knew that my story was important. I knew that the journey, the hurdles, the challenges, the pain, the victory, all of that was assigned to me by God. And that was for me to share. And I knew that when I blurted out, I'm going to write a book, that came from inside. It came from my heart. I didn't realize that writing my book was going to help so many people. I didn't realize that that's where it was going to land and how it was going to be received. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the investment, for the time, for the fear, for the anxiety of that moment of saying yes to writing my book and sharing it and revisiting all those painful moments and all of those chapters in my life, pun intended, all the chapters in my life that shaped me and shaped the person that I am, the mother that I am, the daughter that I am, the sister that I am, the friend that I am. And reading it and seeing it and saying, oh my gosh, and writing it and getting there and realizing, yes, I am qualified to help others. I am the person that can support other people through their journeys. I've been through it. And that was the connection that I created with others. When people read my book, they feel seen. They feel aligned, that they understand that, wow, they're not alone, that although our stories are not the same, we all, as women, as people on this planet, hurt the same, love the same, feel the same, need the same. And a lot of people have this desire to write a book and choose not to. But that doesn't make your story, my story, her story, his story greater or less than. We just make the decision. We listen to the calling. When you desire to write a book, it's something that sits inside of you that you can't quiet. It's something that just hovers over your mind and you hear it. And it might not be immediate that you follow that call. And you might wait for a while, and some people wait too long. And then they get too afraid. 3% of people that say they're going to write a book or actually feel they're going to write a book actually publish. And it's because of the fear, the overwhelm, that I don't know where to start, the who's going to care, who is thinks that mine is more important and more special. And so through all of that, all of those experiences, I decided I'm going to help others write their book. And that's where my purpose came. And that's where the light shine on me, where it was like, oh my goodness, never in a million years did I think, as a child of Cuban parents living in New York, experiencing that life, experiencing the modeling career, experiencing that transformation and that shift in my life to go to a foreign country, an island that I knew nothing about, in Jamaica, become a Jamaican citizen and raise Jamaican children, would be what would bring me to this place of serving and of service. And that's how I started helping leaders, coaches, healers, and facilitators, change makers, to write and publish powerful, soul-aligned books that make a lasting impact. When you write your book with me, you find the focus, you find the support, you find your reason, you find your why, because I'm there, because I remember the need that I had to have that support. and the accountability. All our authors reach bestseller status. All our authors get the create the impact that they are meant to make because they are stepping into their truth and into their power. When you write with Soulfully Aligned Publishing, you retain all the rights of your work, which is something that is different and something that is not a common thing. And your story and your legacy is heard. And I'm here to help because that's my calling.
Sandra, are you using slides?
I will.
Oh, okay, not yet. Okay, sorry. I thought you were, and I was like, I don't see anything. Okay, continue.
I will. I will. And today I will be sharing tips and strategies and tools that help me and have helped dozens of my clients to go from confused and not understanding where to go and really insecure in that purpose and go from book idea to published author. And so I can't wait to support you and going on this journey with you and sharing all of this with you. And now I'm going to share my slides. Okay. So bring your book to life, a 1 hour power session. And this is to get you writing. And again, I am so committed to helping you, anybody. You don't have to, commit to anything, but I really want to get your juices flowing. I want you to get excited about this calling. And if you've been thinking about it, I want you to go through this little process. It's a little process because it's just a few steps, a few tips that will help you actually get those engines running. We're going to talk about 3 different aspects of the book and book writing, and one of the most important parts, and I'm going to say one of the most important parts, the most important part a lot. So prepare yourself because I've discovered these very important elements and aspects and tips that really have helped my authors get to writing their books and actually finishing it, because many people start, but finishing is the feat. We're going to talk about clarity and getting clear on your book's purpose, the structure, and mapping out your message and momentum, and making writing your book doable. And so, hello, I'm excited. And whether you're sitting with a book idea or you're just beginning, this is the invitation. I want you to know that you're in the right place and that your story truly matters. I introduce myself, but I'm Sandra Rodriguez-Bicknell. I am a book coach, publisher, and I work with purpose-driven leaders, change makers who feel called to share their wisdom, their message, and their life experiences through a book. Soulfully Aligned Publishing started with the journey after writing my own book, a life-changing experience. And again, didn't know that the readers would see something in themselves through my words. And I knew that helping others would bring their books to life was part of my purpose. So clarity, getting clear on your book's purpose. This is the first step. This is the first phase. When we start working together, before you start writing, the important part of your writing journey is to be clear, right? To understand the purpose and to understand who you're writing to, and getting yourself out of the way and really understanding your reader's place in the world, right? Your purpose is more powerful than your topic. Okay, let's say it again for those in the back. Your purpose is more powerful than your topic. Your book is more than information. It's your legacy, it's your business card, and a reflection of the impact you're here to make. It's your first act of service. Is your call to those you know you are meant to serve and meant to help. And a business card. Why do I say business card? Because this is the first opportunity that people actually get to know you, to understand you, to see that you are the person that's been through the journey similar to theirs, and that you can help them. A book is a love letter. A book is a message to those who you know need you. And that's why it's the calling. And that's why it doesn't leave you. And writing a book, what we do with Soulful Line Publishing is we write um, teaching memoirs. What used to be called a self-help book is now a teaching memoir. Why? Because people want to know your story. People want to understand who you are. And once that you bridge that gap, then you could actually serve, start a business, create a lead generator. And I know that these are business techniques, but that is the connection. Your purpose leads to how you serve in the world and how you step out. And having a business is something to be confident in and be proud of. It doesn't matter. People think, oh, I went through these experiences and I just want to help people. But you can't help people if you can't afford it. And if you can't create presentations and connect with people and find that confidence that you have. Um, that's called hiding. And so I want you to go and do it now or do this later, but a quick exercise that I have my authors do and I share with people is write down your why in one sentence. Why do you feel called to write this book? What is that yearning? I want you to think about what's your why? Because I want to help others, because I don't want them to feel alone, because I know my story matters, because I know that what I lived isn't in vain. And a powerful tip, right, that I want to share with you is a book is one of two things. It's either solves a specific problem or illuminates a transformation, right? So you're helping someone with something that they've been through, a something that's keeping them up at night, something that's really troubling them, and because a lot of the times you as the author or your ideal reader is you at a younger stage in your life, right? And you know their problem, right? Without trying to make them wrong for feeling how they feel, but because you have the compassion and understanding of who they are. Or you're illuminating a transformation, sharing what can happen, what is possible, right? And guiding them through that from, I know your problem, I know where you've been through, I know what you're experiencing, I want to help you, and what this transformation can be for you, showing a result. And most of the time, it's through your story. And when you're clear on your purpose, everything else becomes easier. Your message, your structure, and your connection to your reader. The connection to your reader is key to know them, to understand them, to put yourself in their shoes, to get in their heads and understand where they are. Then we talk about structure, right? And mapping out your message. I don't know how you are when you're trying to organize your desk or try to be productive, but for me, I need my desk to be in order, right? I need things to be in good order when I start my tasks. The best way to be productive is to have structure. And that's what's important when you're writing a book, is creating a framework. It's creating an understanding of where you're going, your next steps. A blank page is not going to help. A lot of people that says, oh, just go in flow and just write. I know what I'm going to write about. I'm just going to write. Without structure, you're setting yourself up for overwhelm, for confusion, and for procrastination. And so to A simple outline will bring your ideas into form, right? Um, Starting with the framework, organizing your thoughts. And like I said, overwhelm. Overwhelm is the killer of creativity. The overwhelm is the killer of progressive movement. It is so difficult, right, to move when you're overwhelmed. And so creating a structure and a framework is super important. So I want you to try this. Creating an introduction, right? An introduction is the first page, basically, when people open your book, when they read before they open and read your chapter, right? And it really expresses your why and what your reader can expect. It draws them in. It leaves breadcrumbs. And this is what I want you to try. I want you to set a timer and think about, what do I want to share? Right? Maybe for an hour, and write. What is your why? What are you feeling inside? What is it that's calling you inside? Sharing that as an introduction and really giving just a little bit, keeping them wanting more, not only helps you stay anchored in what you want to share and what you want to say in your coming chapters, but really gets the reader interested in what you're going to say. Then you're writing chapters 1 to 5. Each chapter explores a key theme, a lesson, a transformation, the hero's journey, right? The hero's journey is such an important way of telling stories. Producers, movies, all these books are use the hero's journey. Why? Because you're going through the journey from, living a normal life and then going through an experience and knowing that there's more, and then going and exploring what that is. And once you have this challenge in your life, then you use the tools. You start pulling from these experiences and just looking, searching, reading, finding mentors. And that's usually what happens in our lives, right? And then you have the elixir, that key thing that happens that you learn. And then life goes back to level where you now start using those elements that you picked up along the way and help others. And then a conclusion is the takeaway, integration, and an invitation for what's next. So some tools that I use and I promise will help you are index cards. If you don't want to buy new index cards, get paper, cut them up, however you feel fit and however you feel comfortable. But having a stack of index cards, right? Or even digital sticky notes, and brainstorm chapter ideas, right? And doing this from an intuitive space where you take a moment to find quiet, to set a timer, right? Timing, giving yourself the space and time to actually step into your quiet, right? Not being interrupted, asking for that support from friends and family or whoever you're around. And setting time apart to actually consider, what is it that I want to write about? And then write one idea or one story per card, right? And do that. Maybe do 10, 15, 20, group them. And this is something that you'll find that you can do intuitively, right? That you will be able to actually get into flow and start thinking about, what are these words? What are these phrases that I know will help trigger my memory as to what I want to write in my book, right? So setting the time to do this and writing them down, the exercise of writing them down is so, so essential. And then group these ideas to 3 to 5 core pillar themes. And then build from there. This becomes the backbone of your book and ensures your message flows. And then just keep moving forward. Ask friends to support you. Tell everybody, like I did when I said I was going to write a book. I told everybody, I'm writing a book. I'm writing a book, because I couldn't go back on my word. I had to stick to it. I set times in my calendar when I said, okay, this is when I'm going to write. I'm going to write every Friday at 2 o'clock, or maybe 3 days a week, and hold yourself accountable and tell people, right? Set a goal, but don't stop, because momentum is everything. Momentum makes writing doable. Momentum keeps you in flow. If you create too much space in between this practice of sharing your story, and allow yourself to get afraid, or allow the ego, I call the ego the class clown that gets in the way. And it's like, no, 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 no. You don't want to do this. Run, or stay with me and play. Don't do the thing you need to do. That keeps you from actually doing the thing. Because writing a book is hard. Because the doubt, the insecurity, the questioning yourself draws you further and further away. So understand that momentum and support, accountability. When you go to the gym, if you have a gym partner, you go, you continue going, you reach your goal. Unfortunately, we are very, very interesting creatures, and no matter how badly we want to reach something, when it's left to us, a lot of the times we don't follow it. And so find the support you need. A myth. You need hours. Hours of free time to write a book. And the truth is, you need focus and structure, not hours. I wrote 3 chapters in one day because of the structure, because of the focus, because of the momentum, because of accountability. So set times, right? 20 minutes of focus is beats, 2 hours of staring at a blank page, filling yourself with self-doubt, and show up consistently. When I work with my clients, we write a book in as few as 12 weeks, 24 weeks to be published, because of the framework. And because we show up consistently, because you make a commitment and you invest your time. And then tools that help you stay motivated and in motion is writing sprints. Set the timer. Again, the timer is such an important tool, such a accessible tool. And pick a small section. Get all of those either post-it notes or cards, and look at them. So which one do I want to write about today? You don't have to write in chronological order, right? And pick small sections and just write. Something that also happens is the self-doubt, or we're correcting. Oh, I didn't put a period here. Or I didn't put the comma. And then you go back and then the phone rings, right? So setting the time aside, getting into flow, and not over criticizing yourself, and writing and knowing that, maybe the first paragraph won't be perfect, but if you sit with it and you continue going into that story, that one topic that you set aside, that you grouped, right? With those categories, and allow yourself, don't stop. Don't stop for punctuation. Don't start for grammar. Don't stop for anything to correct yourself. Allow yourself to flow. Okay, so no editing, no overthinking. Use, again, your phone. We have it in our hands all day long. Send yourself voice notes, right? Send yourself a memo. Have a page where you write your ideas and create other categories. right? A book has approximately 10 chapters. This is 10 opportunities to write your hero's journey. Most books are about 25,000 words. That's if you write for a thousand words per hour, that's 25 hours, right? So if you structure it, you focus, you find the theme, and you create the framework, you're able to write your book in 6 months, right? But really, really committing to this, right? My favorite tool, and I realized I did a typo, an Excel. Create an Excel sheet. Some people find that intimidating. You don't have to create formats or formulas or anything. Write down your ideas. Next to them, fill in how you'd like your ideal reader to be different every single time they've read one of these chapters, one of these categories, one of these groups that you've created instinctually. Because your story's inside you. You don't have to go do research. You don't have to go find anything. It's inside of you. And if you give yourself the time, every single part of your message will come to light and will come to you, right? So get an Excel sheet, write all of them down, right next to them in each group, how you'd like your ideal reader to be different after this chapter, after this group. What is that transformation that you'd like to create? What would you like to teach them? What are you guiding them through? What part of your story will inspire them to make a change? Or how will it create impact? Writing a book doesn't require perfection. It requires momentum. Done is better than perfect. I say this all the time, and it's one of those things that keeps us from moving forward. It's not perfect. The background isn't good, and my setting isn't right. The chair isn't comfortable, and we'll find a million excuses, right? But let's think of progress over pressure. Publishing, and then what's next? This is what gets a lot of people out. I'm not going to write a book because I don't know how I'm going to publish, and the traditional publishing, and do I want to self-publish? What's that next step? I don't know. And it is daunting because there are a lot of options out there, right? And publishing and the pathways are so many options, and which one is the right option for you? And so we have a traditional publishing, takes a long time. It can take years, highly competitive. These days, we have a new way of being where it's not only celebrities and speakers that are writing books. There are people, all of us, Q right here, we have two authors, right, that have written books to help them amplify their message and grow their business, right? So it is a competitive arena now. And then the publisher controls the rights and the royalties to your book, right? So I'm the testament to this. I was picked up by a traditional publisher, and then it was not easy. And it wasn't easy being an author of a traditional publisher because I don't have the rights to my book, right? I can't just go on Amazon and order books and, have an event. It's not that easy. And this is mine, but it's not. I signed it over. And then you have the self-publishing. Self-publishing is you have full creative control, you manage everything, editing, design, distribution, it's all on you. And when it gets too complicated, sometimes we get overwhelmed. And what happens with overwhelm? We stop. And that project, that time, the effort fizzles. Or you publish your book, self-publish, and the formatting is off. And you're not feeling proud and excited about it. So it sits in the garage or it sits in the closet, right? But at least you've done it. And for me, if anybody says, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to self-publish, I am so proud because, again, it takes a lot of courage. And so what did I create? We created the hybrid publishing. That's what we have, where it's a professional support, creative freedom, You keep 100% of your rights. You're focused, high quality, soul aligned books. And that's where we come in, where we support you in the entire aspect. So there is nothing holding you back. So that we help you with accountability, momentum, structure, clarity, and support you on your entire journey. And so we help purpose-driven authors. You clarify and structure your ideas and your message. You write with confidence and support. Publish professionally while remaining and retaining all of your rights. And launch with visibility and reach bestseller status and feel proud and excited about your book and your dream comes true. That commitment, that desire, that journey is a reality. And you start creating an impact. And you start helping people. And you start getting that ROI where it is helping others, growing your business and growing a dream that is helping others and supporting others. And stepping into your purpose. Your story deserves to be told, and the world is waiting for your wisdom. Whether it's your first sentence or your final edits, your book is closer than you think. So here's a QR code. 2 ways to work with me. We do the private book coaching and publishing, or we do the co-author program, which is perfect first step when you're just trying to feel into the authorship world. And that's the story. Thank you so much for being here, for hearing me out, for sharing this time here with me. And I'd love to also open it up if anybody has any questions. I'm here to answer. And you can get in touch with me through the Holistic Business Network or Sandra Rodriguez-Bicknell in Instagram or my website.
So I have a question.
Yes, Claudia.
I don't know if you should just go ahead or
Yes, please.
the moderators has something to say before.
No, no.
So that was a beautiful presentation. I aligned with your story, being Jamaican. And I was curious though, it's the presentation didn't address how to clean up work that you've already done that doesn't have necessarily the nice flow that you've outlined. And because that seems daunting, right? To know, go back and pull from what you've already written to put into this nice flow that you've outlined. So how do you do that?
Okay, so that's a great question. And I'm looking at my stack of books here of the authors I've worked with. And I can tell you I have 6 books of authors who had started their book, who had written a manuscript already and did not feel satisfied, did not feel aligned with where they got because they just wrote. And we started from scratch. And that is my solution, right?
Oh,
I know it's a tough one. I know it's a tough one. And I battle with my authors all the time because they come to me, right? And they hire me. And halfway through, they start getting confused. And I'm like, what's going on? Why are you feeling? Oh, well, I went back and I looked at my manuscript and I looked at what I had written. And now I'm like, but we worked on the structure. The first phase is getting the clarity, is really understanding, right? Who you're writing to. What is their problem? What is that dream come true? What is that result you want to create in their life? And without having that clarity, writing will be a lot of words, on a lot of pages, sharing so many stories. We think that, oh, I need to tell this story and I need to pull this story and then this happened and this one helped me. And what happens with that is that creates confusion for you. Right. And I know the time and dedication you've put into your work. Right. But, and not but, because it's nothing goes to waste. Right. And all of it is an opportunity to actually let it all out and really visit that story and that journey. And many times that's what holds you back, that attachment to what was or what you've written or the efforts you've made, right? And then we can't move forward, whether it be in a relationship or in a business or a community, and you're like, oh, but I built this and I can't move forward. But the truth is, you have, I'm sure, shifted since you started writing this. And things have grown and things have evolved, right? And so the invitation is to consider, right? Really thinking about who you're writing this book to and create that relationship with this person. Give her a name, visualize her, connect with her, imagine her sitting next to you or him, and really, truly, truly connect with them, because what we need to do, the most important thing, is get out of the way. This has nothing to do with me. This book is not about me. This book is about how I'm going to help my ideal reader. And so what did I learn? What is that lesson? What was that experience? What part of my journey is important for him or her? Not me. I don't have to tell you all the breakups. I don't have to tell you that he treated me badly. I have a client right now and she's like, oh, I really want to talk about what a shit he is right now. I'm like, well, you're not writing a book about him. You're writing a book to women who've had horrible experiences, who have been left, who have been cheated on, not him. And so that is what I recommend, is to go back to him or her, to where they are. Think about what they're looking for in Google. What are they searching for? What are they needing? And what transformation you can bring to them. But I would put that manuscript away, because that will keep you overwhelmed and confused. And I'd be happy to help. I'd be happy to jump on a call and hear where you are and support you if you need. So please.
Yeah, thank you.
You're
No,
so welcome.
Yes, it might not be hard to put it away, because the thing that I lacked is what you are what you're offering, which is that structure and not so much accountability for me, but more so the structure and just somebody to kind of like listen to where you're going. I mean, because you can get lost.
You can, and that creates doubt. And so to have someone to bounce ideas off, to read to, and not have to count on family members or somebody else, right? Because then you get all confused. It started with, I started sharing and it was like someone pointed out something. That's not a fact. It's like, but wait a minute. Now I'm getting confused. So not sharing with others and having someone that is just concerned about you and you telling your story with nothing, no attachment to your result, is very important.
And where does AI come in with this? Because a lot of people now are writing their books using AI. So how do you compete with that?
There is no competition. AI does not have a soul. AI does not connect with those who need you, right? And you might use AI, but there is a void, because when you're writing with your pen, Even with your computer, I prefer pen first. But when you're writing, the vibration, the frequency, your heart is connecting to those words, to those letters. And it is a frequency that's literally connecting with those who need you, right? It's a heart connection. And so you may use AI and then you go down a rabbit hole and then you're like, okay, this is good. And all of a sudden you're like, but wait a minute, that doesn't even sound like me.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the imperfections, the intricacies of your personality, that's what people want. They don't want a
Mhm.
perfect book. They want to hear you, your voice.
Yeah, I wondered about that, how AI would capture the nuances of, and even remember
Right.
and know your story deeply to be able to
Yeah. And the
capture.
transformation you go through as an author, where you are writing, and when you're going through that difficult time, that doubt, that fear, that timeline, that deadline, that crunch, that experience changes you. So there is no shortcut to that. Thank you, Claudia, for your questions.
So good.
Again, feel free to connect.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Sandra, and great questions, Claudia. Thank you, Michelle. I don't know if you had any questions, but this was such a great overview of the process and the things that people don't think about when considering writing a book. So, Sandra, I'm so appreciative to all that you shared with us tonight. Thank you for sharing how we can reach out to you. And ladies, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did because I learned so much. Thank you so much for taking the time, Sandra. We appreciate you so much. And for all of you that joined us, thank you for jumping on to learn and have an amazing night.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Holistic Business Network. Thank you for everybody who showed up for this opportunity.
It was a pleasure. Thank you. It's an honor.
Michelle,
Good
did you
night.
want to say something?
I just wanted to say thank you for this.
Uh,
I'm blown away. I resonated so much with you, and I can't wait to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for joining us.
Yep.
Mwah.
Bye.
Take care, ladies.
Bye-bye. Thank you.